Yeah, I don't like anything that has to do with jazz.
Come, you be like say hungry, never why are you rich, Abby?
You know nothing about football, so there's no point again. Organize your cup and not your body. This one not the couple.
Oh, well, see, baby, it's not my money.
Between three nurses and a doctor, find out what matters in Clinic Matters.
And I wonder what someone like you is doing with such a noble profession.
AIT, sharing the African experience.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us on Focus Nigeria. Today, Thursday, May 17, 2012. My name is Benga. I'm really glad to be here this morning. From the telecommunications sector comes a very cheering news that Nigeria is making waves and that we are among the fastest growing internet users in the world. At the moment, the population of internet users in Nigeria is put at over 45 million people. That's more than 1/3 of the nation's estimated population. Now, that's a huge population we're talking about here. But how do we harness this huge population of, well, averagely literate people for all the advantages it confers? In the last 11 years or so that Nigeria joined the digital lane with the introduction of the global systems of mobile telecommunications, GSM, the level of teledensity in the country has not only exploded. The attendant revolution it has created, the jobs and business opportunities, as well as the tempo of social interaction, have impacted enormously on the Nigerian economy. Yet Nigeria still lags behind or has not yet taken full advantage of all that the ICT offers. Broadband transmission and full convergence of voice, data, video and TV is still not a full reality yet. But what are the advantages of ICT governance and other economic activities? Today we hear of e-governance, e-payment, e-banking, e-commerce. We even have e-book, e-library, all signaling attempts to compact the means of doing business. But there are also the negative side to all of this. E-crime is also on the rise. Cybercrime, they call it. As criminals, too, have gone digital. Even social vices are not left out. I'm talking of where you have porns now, you have porn sites and all of that. You even have e-adultery. Here we are talking of how can Nigeria take advantage of the high rate of internet users to achieve some positive changes. These are our talking points this morning. But before the discussions, let's quickly review with you some of the latest reports we are tracking at this moment. The death of former president of the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, Comrade Pascal Bafiao, hit the Labour community like a thunderbolt on Wednesday. The NLC reacted with shock, saying the death of Comrade Bafiao at this time was a monumental loss. NLC's acting secretary, Owe Lakefa, spoke on behalf of the Congress after a visit to the home of the Bafiaos in
Pascal Bafiao made a lot of contributions to the labor movement, especially the Nigeria Labour Congress. This building we are is called Labour House. It's a 12-story building. It was built when Pascal was president of the NLC. It was Comrade Pascal's leadership that established the workers' bank called LATCON. It was also his leadership that established the Labour City Transport. It was then known as the STS. And so he's made a lot of contributions. He also set up the Labour Party back in 1989, which was not registered by the Babangida regime.
Comrade Owe Lakenfa, acting National Secretary of the PDP, of the NLC. Owe, please forgive me. Acting Secretary of the NLC, speaking on the event of Comrade Pascal Bafiao. President Goodluck Jonathan, Senate President David Mark, and some state governors were also among those that have commented on Bafiao's death. President Goodluck Jonathan, in a statement by his media advisor, Dr. Ruben Abati, described Bafiao as an unassuming labor leader who was reasonable and dispassionate in his decisions when he was the president of the NLC. Away from Bafiao's death and the encomiums that are pouring his way, the administration of justice is soon to get a boost following the adoption of a bill that has increased the number of federal high court judges from 70 to 100. The Senate passed the bill on Wednesday, and if the House concurs, then there will be enough hands, really, to attend to the cases that have congested the federal high court docket.
A bill for an act to amend the Federal High Court Act 2005 to make provision raise in the number of judges of the Federal High Court from 70 to 100 and for related matters 2012 read a third time and passed.
Okay, the government came down making it a law. All right, this will be our last take. Henceforth, the university lecturers can lecture or stay in the classroom till they attain the age of 70. The law that has made this possible has been signed by President Goodluck Jonathan. The president's liaison to the National Assembly, Senator Joy Emodi, said the president's speedy assent to the bill would help address some of the nagging problems in the education sector.
Into law of the Universities Miscellaneous Provisions Amendment Act 2012 to increase the compulsory retirement age of university staff in the professorial cadre from 65 now to 70 years. So she said the new law, as well as the retirement age of staff of polytechnics and colleges of education Harmonization Act 2012, also signed into law by President Goodluck Jonathan on Monday, will raise the spirit of the Nigerian tertiary employees. And I have no doubt whatsoever that the new law will substantially enhance industrial harmony, productivity, and better learning in the nation's tertiary institutions. So what Mr. President has done is in the best interest of the nation, especially given the worrisome standard of education, because we need experienced hands to stop the decline forthwith. So I'm saying that the National Assembly and Mr. President had played their parts, urging the Nigerian tertiary educational institutions to reciprocate the gesture by ensuring a drastic change in the quality of graduates churned out by them.
All right, Senator Joy Emodi dropping the good news yesterday of the president's signing of a bill into law which has increased the retirement age of university and polytechnic lecturers from 65 to 70. The face-off between General Muhammadu Buhari and the PDP is not showing any let-up yet, as the general continues to get the bashing of his life for what has now become his trademark provocative, rather insensitive and insensate outbursts. But it's a big issue. I will just probably put it on the template for tomorrow's discussions, hopefully. That's the face of the polity at this time. Let's take a break to set the stage for our discussions. This morning we will be where this is e-discussion that we'll be having this morning. We'll be looking at the positive achievements that internet is bringing to life in Nigeria. We'll take a quick break to prepare for the discussions.
Budgeting. Questions such as, do we need an NMP in the first place, must be asked. My view, we don't.
He is the field officer. He has the responsibility to ensure all operations regarding arrest and all that is conducted in the usual manner.
Engaging emerging topical issues in the polity.
The mere fact that we pay for 24 million liters of petrol on a daily basis, which is not is shocking. And I think now people should be resigning their appointment.
It's supposed to be a business, but it has become another arm of government, and it's also suffering from the malaise that have bedeviled government in Nigeria.
If you're just joining us, the program is Focus Nigeria. You just missed out on the opening. Now we are going into our discussion segment. Let me quickly introduce my guest this morning. Dr. Chima Amadi is joining us for discussions this morning. Dr. Amadi is Executive Director of Independent Service Delivery Monitoring Group. Good to see you, Dr. Amadi.
Thank you very much.
Honorable Ibrahim Shehu Gusau is also joining us for discussions this morning. Honorable Gusau is Chairman, House Committee on ICT. So we're privileged to have him with us this morning. I must confess that I'm an illiterate on this issue, so good we have some experts here. Good to see you, Honorable.
Thank you, Benga. Good to see you too.
Mr. Nuruddin Adenito is also joining us for discussions this morning. Mr. Adenito is Chief Executive Officer, Conceptual Networking Limited. That's ICT too? Yes. Thank God. Sorry. It's actually the IT development strategist. Good to see you too. Welcome to the program. Okay. At least some good news is not that Nigeria is rated among or terrorism is taking shape in Nigeria and all of that. This one is good news for Nigeria. Now we are among the list of 20 top internet users in the world. Now that's something to cheer about. Let me quickly look at the figures again. 45-point-something million people are internet users in Nigeria. What do you say to that? That's a chunk of the population.
It depends on where you are looking at, how you are looking at it from, and where you are coming from. Yes, for some commentators, it's a good thing, because if we find ourselves in a right statistics, we are not being put either for maternal mortality or one of those statistics that we always find ourselves. It depends on where you're looking at it. But for me, I think we should be very, very careful here, because Nigerians, I think we're a nation that gloats too much about statistics. Some time ago, we pride ourselves to be the biggest black nation, the most populous black nation.
Are we not?
And we are. But the question is, how have we harnessed that potential, that wonderful potential, to bring in to put in place certain economic incentives that will drive, bring in foreign direct investment, like the Chinese of this world have done and like India has done. We have a party that calls itself the biggest party in Africa, but this party does not have the internal democracy. These are statistics, And for me, what I'm looking at that figure and I'm asking myself, is Nigeria with the figure that is being thrown out now. Is it technology driven? What the thing is, I'm coming. I'll explain what I mean. What we have here is a large number of Nigerians who are basically using the social networking, and those, because you have like in your opening state, the teledensity has increased, and so you have a lot of people with phones, and because some of these phones are internet compliant, now most of these people have internet, and what are they using it for? I'll give you an example on that figure. There's also in that statistic, that's what you call internet penetration. Nigeria's figure is 26.5.
Yes.
Now, that 26.5 means that the internet penetration in Nigeria is not too much. Now, there are countries that are not in that list that have achieved almost 100% internet penetration, that are not even on that list. So they are looking at population, actually. The population of Nigerians that are using, that are making use of the internet. But to what? And I will give you one clear example here. Now, if it is technology driven, now you will begin to have a lot of jobs, in that sector. But you have, for example, let me give you an example. In the US, for example, Google is just less than 20 years old. It controls about $200 billion in its shareholders' capital. Whereas GM, that is almost 200 years old, GM Motors, that's an industrial, an industrial giant, has just about $20 billion in its shareholders' funds. That tells you that in less than 20 years, because we are in the age of information technology, Google has maximized that potential, and a lot of people have keyed in. In Nigeria here, like you mentioned, you have children who it has even become negative, because these young lads today have what they call their internet language, LOL, KK. So they fail English language exams. And as a result, instead of this thing becoming, an advantage for us, you have a situation where most of these numbers are what? They are actually doing social networking. Try downloading anything. There's a telecommunication company today. One of the things they've used to advertise is, you see them advertising speed. Because they know that speed is an issue. Try downloading today. We might live here and you've not finished downloading. That is a very important issue we need to look at. What is the optimization of this figure? How have we optimized it to benefit the economy?
That's essentially that's the problem.
So we need to have a situation where, instead of just giving out numbers, because as long as people keep buying phones and all that, that number will keep increasing in terms of population, people who are using it. But in terms of the re-optimization, it is not happening. See, you have a situation here where you subscribe to a network. For example, in our offices at the Independent Service and Monitoring Group, we subscribe to a network. And look, for 1 month, we didn't even use for 2 weeks.
So you end up subscribing to all.
We subscribe to all. You don't even know which one to use. So that is a very critical issue.
Okay. We'll discuss. You have raised so many issues that we need to discuss. Some of them I don't understand, even though in the course of preparing for the program, I also jotted down those points. Honorable, you need to take it from there. Like I said too, like you also concur, this has impacted on almost aspects of our life.
Yes.
E-crime is also increasing. Even social vices. I talk of what did I call it?
E-adultery.
E-adultery. E-adultery. And all of that.
Yes.
Now let's advance it from there. First of all, you need to explain this internet penetration. Internet penetration ratio of Nigeria, which is put at 26.5%. What does this actually mean?
Benga, I think we need to look at it both ways. You see, go back into the year 2000, there were only 200,000 users of internet in Nigeria, and today it has gotten to 45 million. Now, this is the boost that Nigeria had. There's a big jump. We're not only in the top 20. We're
number 11.
We're actually number 11 on that list. And this is not a Nigerian statistic. This is an international, well-accredited statistics. However, I agree with Doctor in the sense that we are surfing the internet with tears. With tears in the sense that you start downloading a small document. It takes you hours and hours to do. Now, there's no reason why Nigeria should be in that situation. We have a lot of bandwidth coming in. Main 1 is here, SAT3 is here, Glow 1 is here. Recently, the NITCOMSAT has launched its own satellite where they have so much transponders, and it's a communication satellite. So there is absolutely no reason why enough bandwidth. By now, if you look at the statistics on broadband, Nigeria is not even in the top 20. It's not even in the first 50, I believe, because we should be able to download broadband like yesterday. So these are the situations. Now, in every progress, there are the pros and cons, the negative and the. I agree that there are issues with the what do you call it, the sites, the youth sites, if you like. These are issues where, if the government like, there could be control on those sites. You understand? So that there will be direction, and if you go to some countries, they really have controls.
Strict control.
Exactly.
Learning from, at least, particularly after the Arab Spring.
Exactly.
Started.
Exactly.
Some countries have
really managed, you know. Yeah. So, you know, in order to manage our youthful exuberance issues, you know, this could be a government control on that if the government likes.
Yeah, but instead of controlling, probably when we get to that stage of discussion, shouldn't our government concentrate effort on channeling it to positive use?
Naturally, but you can't.
Rather than seek to control people, because really the world has
positive use. How do you control? As doctor said, how do you control a youth that picks up his laptop or iPad or phone and decides to go to a certain site? How do you control him? If you don't control the site, or you don't block the site, he can go in there and surf.
Yeah, but the alternative to that is for government to also go fully on the internet.
No, they can go fully, but rerouting. Naturally, you see, in other countries, when you hit a site, it reroutes you to a more site that you'll be more enlightened, maybe an educated site.
Yeah.
So this is the situation. Now, coming back to government, I want to assure you that in the last 1 year, I believe we worked along with the executive.
Okay.
That's
okay. All right.
Yes.
Since already on that,
I am the chairman on ICT, the House Committee, and of course there were budget discussions done between us and the executive. That's the minister and some parastatals, and they are really doing good with what regard what Doctor raised, the issues of trying to achieve and trying to harness. As of today, I can assure you, one of the parastatals is commissioning an internet exchange in Port Harcourt. Now, this is the beauty of it. You find that right now, if you want to send an email, it goes to the US and comes back. So to save that length of going and coming, and to save that amount to be paid, the internet exchange here, if I'm sending an email to you from my Tama to say, it just hits either the internet exchange in Lagos or Port Harcourt or Kano, and comes back. So you can see the timing becomes shorter. Now Nigeria is getting there. So we're getting there, we're not quite there. Okay. On broadband issues, we're getting there, we're still not there.
All right.
Yes.
Mr. Adeto, what will be your own reaction to this piece of sharing news, really?
Yes.
Both the pros and cons of this news.
Yes, very sharing news, but at the same time, Dr. Amadi said that what is the business value of this? I would like to comment from that. There are so many statistics all over the world. The internet penetration, e-readiness, and things like that. If we have 45 million internet users in Nigeria, the next question is that doing what? Consuming content. Are we content creator? Not yet there. But we thank God and the effort of the past administration that from less than 200,000 about 11 years ago, we're now at 45 million. And we know very sure that more than 60% of that population are youth. We are exposing our youth to those vices. There's something they call 2 Ps, predators and pornography. People can log onto the internet, learn how to make bomb, for instance, other explosive, how to do somebody committed suicide by following instruction on the internet. These are the various vices that need to be looked into. Pornography is the biggest business on the internet, and people log into it and they do all sorts of things. But if you look at another thing, the e-readiness aspect of it, we are not yet there, because there are 6 pillars of which e-readiness stand on. We are like, I think number 60 or number 62 on that list. We are not quite ready for using the internet for business because of these issues.
Gentlemen, we're talking about why we are not ready.
We're not ready because, let's say, for the 6 pillars, one of them is a technology and infrastructure, the connectivity and technology infrastructure. That one is a very particular issue. We have
Has it got to do with general bad infrastructural base?
It's one of the factors, because Honorable said that we have ME1, we have SAT3, we have so many fast internet pipes landing in Lagos. But coming to the interland, we have issues. NCC just issued a kind of to penalize some service provider for them to pay 1.2 billion or thereabout. The question I ask is that who is going to collect that money? NCC collect the money, but I pay for the money, the service I didn't get. Then who is to blame? We are paying money, we don't have service. Nigeria has a part of the highest cost of bandwidth in Nigeria, but in the world. But if the prices are coming down anyway, but it's still very, very high. So what we now need to do is that government need to look into this. The chief of this is the power.
Power supply. Again, a huge problem.
Yes. The next one is security. Many a time, the service provider complains that their fibers are rolled up. Somebody calls fiber to the span of 10 kilometers and cut the fiber away. So how do we pipe it? That's why we have more wireless-based services than optical fiber-based services. Government on its part is working on so many issues, so many initiatives, like consolidating the effort. Instead of proliferation of a data center across various MDs, okay, we're going to have maybe 1 or 2 agents that are going to be in charge of this. You concentrate on this, the other one concentrates on that. So this kind of a consolidation is not only in Nigeria. United States government said, okay, we are consolidating our data center from 2094 to about 1,132 in the year 2015. They're considering power, they're considering other infrastructure, because if you don't have connectivity, no matter what you have, you won't be able to do. I will say more of download here. We need to move away from that, from consumption. Dr. Amadi said something about Google. Apple is the most capitalized company in the world today by producing what? Producing consumer electronics. Consumables. So, and with a shareholder capital of about 510 billion, it's richer than Nigeria as a country.
That's a company.
A company is richer than Nigeria. The share value is over $500. So we need to know that it is not what is under the ground that is going to take us there. It is what is between our 2 ears. So in that case, government need to do more in the area of infrastructure facility. Now, in the other pillars, that what about the consumer adoption? For instance, a governor of a particular state said that it increased the revenue of the state from about 117 million to over 500 million within 14 months by doing what? Just introducing e-payment. That one has blocked so many leakages. So we cannot do without technology if we really want to advance.
Okay. All right. Let's first of all talk about the problems, and then how to then turn them around to challenges that we need to conquer. First, you talk about the download speed and all of that. Something like I said, I'm a novice to this, a bandwidth or something like that. A colleague of mine whose brain I was speaking yesterday in the course of preparing for this program, talking about the fact that all the bandwidths that we have now are located in Lagos, which is why the download rate is slow or something like that. Can you explain that?
The problem, like it has been explained.
In which case, the entire country is not covered yet through this fiber optic cable lay and all of that.
The problem is that there are too many players at a very small field. If you talk about boundary, you still have to even talk about domain. Where are these people getting it from? Who is giving what? And then when you talk about domain, you will not, like what Honorable said, this is basically in European countries and Asia. Where they get this and give to us. Like you talked about nice concert. Nice concert, thank God, because yesterday I was asking, I said, is nice concert communication driven, or does he have any other thing? Because you can launch a satellite, and the satellite is not communication. It doesn't have to do with communication. It might be for other use. See, let me explain this. The internet became the computer, for example, went commercial around the 80s. But even before that, it was in use in the 40s, NASA, 50s. NASA, they were already using this until it went commercial in the 80s and the boom in the 90s. But you have a country where today, how many years later, employers of labor still say, for you to apply, basic understanding of computer. For crying, at this stage.
In other words, power it up.
Basic understanding of computer is a criteria. It shouldn't even be a criteria. It should be taken for granted that, look, the IT expert here said power. Look, what the people manufacturing this thing are trying to do for everything they try to make it comfortable for you. That is why if you notice the way the mouse used to be before has changed. You know, you even have what you call the touch screen. They try to make these things comfortable for you because they know that for you to do any meaningful work on the net, you need to spend a lot of time to do. If you start browsing now, if you start surfing right now, before you know it, if you start by 9, before you know it's already 6 o'clock and you're not even done yet. And then you need power. You need power, and that power is not guaranteed. Another problem is education. You know, we're talking about penetration. This penetration is probably mainly in the urban areas. Try going to your village to solve the net. You won't do anything. You won't do anything. And then we have a government that quickly puts the cart before the horse. You're talking about e-government. What is e-government? E-government is supposed to make things simpler. There are different components of e-government. You have the government to citizen, government to government. Now, if you implement the e-government principle very well, you will save billions of naira. What do I mean by that? The government right now is talking about rationalization, merging parastatals, scrapping parastatals to save money. But have you talked about the amount of money you will save by going paperless? Going paperless, just write a mail. How many government agencies even receive correspondences through 3 mails and respond? If you do that, you wait till the Lord comes, you will never get a response. And then if you look at the budget, the amount of money that was budgeted for paper, stationery alone, runs into several billions of naira.
How many offices are on power 24 hours or the 8 hours that the offices are on?
Let me even explain.
If you go to federal secretariat now, chances are that there's no power.
Even email, ordinary email, before we even go to the technical details about, because he was even talking about, let us even go beyond the loan. Let us even talk about data. Ordinary email. The same thing is happening in telephone. We have not even conquered voice. You can't make 1 hour, 30 minutes call consistently without having a network failure or something or dropped call. We've not even gone, and these guys are introducing what they call 4G, video, TV, Skype. That can't work here because the infrastructure are just not there. And even when the infrastructure is there, is the education there? Are you educating people? What kind of education are you giving the young ones? Who form the major number of people that have inflated, have even put us in that top 20? The education is not there to say, look, we can positively harness this to even become technology. Look, let me tell you something. There are a lot of opportunities in development of software. In fact, in Africa now, there's what they call Ubuntu. You know, trying to match the Microsofts of this world, where you can develop a software, dump it there, somebody from Malawi looks at it, add something, dump it there, somebody from dumps it there, and before you know it, you have a holistic program that can serve our peculiar needs. Are these young people using it? And we have intelligent Nigerians. Emeagwali is a Nigerian. Most of these guys doing the kind of magic and miracles they're performing out there, some of them are Nigerians. But here, you don't have the enabling environment to harness these potentials. And that is the major problem that we have to harness before we start talking about e-payment. E-payment, like you mentioned, e-payment is wrought with a lot of fraud. We can't even have a firewall against this fraud. You put in your ATM, for example, to cash money. The next time they told you, whether they cashed it or somebody has cleared their money there. You know, these are issues that imagine, and you need to take it into proper perspective before you now say you want to deepen it. So deepening it is very important, no doubt about it. But in deepening it, you also have to look at it holistically to make sure that whatever you are doing is drawn in a positive way to open up potentials that will drive the economy, because this is the information age.
Okay, Honorable Guso, we identify the challenges now. He's talked about power, he's talked about education. Mr. Adelito earlier talked about the absence of the infrastructural basis. And there are more challenges we need to identify.
I think
otherwise, we should then be looking at, here we are talking of a sector that in Nigeria has more or less been fully deregulated.
Yes.
Who will make the necessary investment in the infrastructural foundation?
Government will still be the watchdog of the environment. Having deregulated the sector, they will still have to
fully deregulate.
Exactly. They will still have to fully watch the implementation of what is happening in the sector. With regards to bandwidth issues, power issues, we know how much Nigerians are paying. Nigerians are paying so much to get these services. Where are the services? They are not available. So government should still go around, look at it, and still impress. These are policy issues that will... Well, I just mentioned to you NIGCOMSAT. By the way, Doctor, NIGCOMSAT has a communication satellite. If the government today decides to say, we want to bring down the cost of bandwidth, bring the pipe, bring it down so that people should be able to subscribe, companies should subscribe at a lower cost, I can assure you, Benga, that these other companies will have to drop their cost because it has become competitive. Now, with regards to power, that is another major issue where the government needs to put in more effort. That area has not been regulated. You are aware that very soon the DP is still very soon there will be bid rounds in the with regards to the power sector. Until that is done, it's still an issue. If you call the telecoms companies now, they tell you, sorry, we have issues with power, and that is why we're charging this much. This is a major problem. So government has not handed over fully. They will still have to come around, look at it and say, you need to do this until such a time when the environment is clear. Now coming to e-governance, e-health, and e-commerce, I think, yes, it's a good time to start. Believe you goes to the CBN governor. Sanusi promoted an issue of starting with Lagos and taking it to other states about a cashless society. We're all aware of security issues. Today you cash money, you'll be looking sideways and to make sure that nobody... Exactly. So and not only that, the movement of cash. Have you ever met a CBN convoy moving cash? The movement alone, over 50 people, about three trucks, gun-shotting police, blocking the road, and so aircraft and so on. So much money spent into this. So if we go cashless, that's a very good one for e-commerce. E-education, you cannot take the beauty of that. If you are sitting here and then you have a submission to do of your assignment, and your lecturer is on of course.
How many of our educational institutions are compliant? Are ready for that? Believe you me,
I know the need. The National Information Technology Development Agency, the Universal Services Provision Fund, the government has created an environment to, send in nooks and crannies. Not only schools, actually. I was trying to answer Dr. Ask. The minister in her budget submission to the House last year proposed a citizens connect center where she believes people don't have to come into cities. They'll be able to, at their locality, access for their passport, international passport application, driver's license application. So we're getting there, we're still not there. E-health, again, you are all aware that diagnosis can be done remotely, and then operations can even be done remotely. The doctor is not competent enough, another doctor goes online and be able to talk to him to say, do this, operate this, check this, and a successful operation is done. So we're getting there, but like I told you, with tears, because we are still the pipe is not open enough.
All right, we need to open the pipe, we need to dry the tears, we need to do all of these things with as much comfort as the government can guarantee. How do we achieve that?
Yes, it's policy proclamation by government, because if government are going to drive adoption, business and consumer adoption. For instance, few weeks ago I was looking at this IPPIS, which has saved the federal government billions of naira from paying money to ghost workers. Part of the requirement there is that you need to the mobile phone is now a compulsory field, that if you don't put your mobile phone, you cannot register via the PPI. If you don't put your email address, you cannot register it. But which type of email address? Yahoo, Hotmail, and this kind of a thing for government work. A few years ago, a television station was closed down because of this kind of thing. Because
I'm sorry, Venga, I need to come in here. Sorry, Nuruddin. You are also aware that I think starting last year, you will see the .ng.
Yes.
The government has procured the top level domain name, and it is now being promoted that all companies, all governments, and all companies should register with the .ng.
Yeah.
You know, so we expect,
that's not a policy.
Yes, and we expect
can we back it up with law?
Naturally, and we expect compliance. There's Galaxy Communications, which is
I was coming to that.
Yes,
Galaxy Backbone Communications. Yeah, because we are talking of absence of a backbone here,
yes,
which is what some of the operators are also complaining about.
Well, I'm sorry for cutting Nuruddin short, but I'm trying to say that yes, that is being achieved. The .ng is there, and Nigeria is promoting the usage of that.
Yes, because it's good that you mentioned Galaxy Backbone. Based on interaction and information available in the public domain, that Galaxy has set up messaging and collaboration infrastructure that can take over 100,000 records and even more than that, the scalable infrastructure. But I was really be at a program Monday, Tuesday, lamenting that only 6% of the civil servants are using this infrastructure. So I mean the email of a thing. On my way to the studio, a government agency was announcing the email address you can use to read them, the name of the thing at yahoo.com. Said, okay, you want me to lodge complaint at this part of it? It's not proper. So using that ICIS example I was talking about, you can use technology to enforce that you cannot use Yahoo or any other email that is not on .gov.ng domain. With that, you have actually captured all the civil servants across over 200 MDAs to use the infrastructure. So if you don't use technology to actually drive the adoption, it's useless. Another thing is the legal framework. Kudos to the Honorable for the good work they are doing in National Assembly. They've amended the Evidence Act that the computer produced document is now acceptable. You can pretend that. But there's still much to be done. Cybersecurity bill has been there since 2000 or thereabout. So what are we doing about it? How do we protect our youth? The cyber people are sometimes ago your website was hacked.
National Assembly website.
You have National Assembly website. And so many other what is the reason for hacking this thing? Probably you are hosting this website in US or any other country in a server hosted in the garage or bedroom of somebody. Because they have fat internet access, a fat pipe. We can just put a server there if we're collecting your money. But here you have infrastructure locally. And based on what he said, that Galaxy Backbone has rolled out kilometers of fibers across FCT and things like that. And I think the problem of federal secretariat in terms of VSAT popping all over the place has been taken care of by rolling fiber to that place and things like that. So we look at this area, focus on the e-government delivery, and enforce it with technology. If we don't, the adoption nobody will want. We are naturally we are resistant to change because we don't actually want to move out of our comfort zone. And I will quote Steve Ballmer, the CEO of Microsoft, say that passion is not enough. You have to be tenacious in what you are doing. You're passionate about it, you're driving and all that. But if you're not tenacious, you wobble, stumble, fall down, and give up.
Again, sorry, Benga, I need to clear the air with regards to Galaxy Backbone.
All of those, yes.
They have.
He put more things at your doorstep as well. Some bills that are pending in the National Assembly.
Starting with the cybersecurity bill, I agree with you. It has been pending, but I want to assure you, and I've said this in different forums, that it has been sent to our committee where I oversight, and that I assure you before the end of the tenure of this assembly, that bill will be passed.
That's a long time.
Cyber security.
That's a long time.
Yes.
We're talking of
we will.
2015.
No, you see, there are different processes with regards to bill. You have to do a public hearing and bring all stakeholders.
Yes.
In different. You cannot move people from Lagos to Abuja or Kaduna. So we decide we want to go and capture and hear. Because you don't want to do a close. This is a very, very big and important bill. Yeah. That you need to capture a lot of people's ideas into it and see if it is acceptable. Now we are doing that. Now with regards to Galaxy Backbone, I will still take you back to the budget defense of last year. We had pockets of MDAs coming in to establish their own IT centers, IT stuff, IT storage, and
data centers.
And we're saying no. If this Galaxy Backbone is a government-owned company, and it has spent this much to establish a whole storage system and all this communication setup, use this and pay for it. Or rather they do a give and take kind of arrangement, rather than have all MDAs budgeting and asking for funding to establish their own miniature or small, and we're achieving that. We've started achieving that. We've told them that next year's budget we'll try to harmonize. We'll try to say, if any MDA brings in, we will strike it out. We'll tell them, go and subscribe in this so that you save this money. Okay. So we're in essence we're getting there. We're still working on that.
Well, one quick intervention, Benga. He mentioned issue of apathy in using the government. Yes. Have you asked yourself why? The reason is simple: privacy issues. When you begin to use this, and these civil servants are smart, they know when they begin to use this, they enter into a server, that when government needs any information, they can quickly get these things. You see, that's another challenge with e-governance, because it throws up a lot of privacy issues. It becomes open, because the trend now is open governance, transparent government. Government has to be open. You don't have anything to hide. The days of writing a letter and stamping confidential on it are over. And that is why you have the Freedom of Information Act. They are over. And so these guys don't want to use this opportunity, because they know that the moment this thing is used, they prefer to use Yahoo, where you will go through a lot of rigors to get to the server, to get the information that you want. They're using that government-approved platform, because they know it's as easy. You want to do any investigation, as easy as just walk in there and get it, because it is with you. So the privacy issues too, just as it has its own negative side, it also has a positive side. So these are some of the apathy. We had a workshop recently where a big government department said, look, they wanted to, because people were asking, what's your email address? And they said Yahoo. And people said, no, you can't even say Yahoo. They said, we had issues even with the .ng thing. For over 2 months, we couldn't even, and then we needed to do something, and we had to use this, And then still again, this current issue is still power. Until you resolve that quagmire called power, you probably will not go far.
I think we can I think we can address the issue of power partially by adopting consolidation of infrastructure and using shared services. Convergence. So shared services, like look at Federal Secretariat. We have tens of ministry there. There is no need for each ministry to have its own data center, to set up its own mail server, to buy hardware. Honorable said that it is empowered Galaxy Backbone. Go to Galaxy Backbone, use the infrastructure. Virtualization is the order of the day right now. You don't need physical boxes. You can create a virtual machine for you and use something like that. So the issue of power comes out of it. Another thing is that we all know that in the issue of social contracts, it's only government that has the monopoly of force. Government can force. You are a civil servant. You are an employee of government. I want you to use this thing. I drive with policy. Open government, transparent government is what we're driving at. There's no way it's going to be open. For instance, someday they said, okay, the person I'm going to sign check is not available. That one can be like a 4 days, 5 days, whatever. But with e-payment, cashless payment, wherever you are, all over the world, all you need is access to the internet. But, you have to have security, encryption, and things like that. All those infrastructure need to be provided, and they are not rocket science. They are available as of today. So it's now to tell them and make their life dependent on that your salary can only be paid if you use .gov.ng. This thing, communication can only be. If you do something like that, you try to make them to adopt that, because people will not want to move
freely on their own.
You see, Benga, have you gone to a location and seen in just how many yards you see 4 different towers? You see the globe, I mean, we need a change.
That's the convergence that even at the time that NCC tried to promote.
Yes.
That why can't all of you have just one base? Let everybody's maps be on the same.
Let me tell you, the requirement for a communications equipment is a DC requirement -48. So you find that if you dedicate a 28 kVA generator, it's enough to serve all those. But you see 4 towers, 4 megahertz, 4 security houses.
4 noise coming from 4 different directions.
2 generators times 2 times 4. That's 8 generators. You know, it's crazy.
Noise coming from
so until we do, I think NCC should sit up.
I was coming to what, let's identify roles for the critical stakeholders here now. Is that I just came back from South Africa.
Yes.
Went to a district in went to Durban. There's a place, it's a kind of local district called Limbe, like a local government, investing in fiber optic cable laying. So as the officials put it, to make things easy for the citizens to promote their businesses.
In Abuja and in Lagos, it is being achieved. Fiber to the home.
Is it government that is?
No, government here have decided to hands off. It is now going fiber to the home, and believe you me, there's a couple of broadbands here and there, and it is being achieved. You find some very small number of companies have started achieving broadband, but the government had hands off fully. And from another school of thought, I see.
Was that a mistake? Or
I really.
Some aspects of the deregulation still be removed.
Benga, I am a party to the first telecom policy of Nigeria, and a party again to the new revised policy, which was revised after 10 years. It should have been revised after 5 years. I still do not feel government should hands off completely with regards to communication. We have open skies. People can put in their VSAT and transmit and receive whatever information without nobody seeing in their backyard. So, this is not even in America that people feel it's so liberalized and open. It doesn't work. They monitor what is going in and what is coming out. It's just that if they don't see any critical issues, they allow it go. But when there are critical issues, you see them knocking on your door, that we saw information going out from your home. So I still don't feel government should hands off.
Okay. So government has a role to play. The power, of course, essentially is government.
Naturally, is their responsibility. Until they deregulate that sector and expect a lot of investment to come in, which will take years and years and years.
What about the Dr. Abadi? What about the operators themselves? With all the billions of naira they are cutting away from this country in profit, can't they also make a little bit more of investment in this area?
Well, but you keep hearing, if what you read is anything to go by, you keep hearing that they are investing. A lot of names that you mentioned here, May1, apart from the Nigerian government owns SAT3. You keep hearing that they are trying to invest. But you see, the company, their own is to maximize profit.
Exactly.
That is the bottom line for them.
But shouldn't you make investment for the profit to go high?
Let's give you an example. For example, MTN. MTN goes out, gets a domain that's very large enough to accommodate you and I. But he doesn't stick it to Nigeria only. He carries Kenya along. Exactly. He carries Zimbabwe along. He carries some of these people. And then it maximizes. And he doesn't increase the bandwidth as he's doing that. So many players in there, and the thing, the quality you're talking about for sure, because what they are thinking about is just profit margins, and then you begin to talk about having nationalist bourgeoisie in Nigeria who can stand up and say, this is our country, we want to do this for us. But again,
as Glo did.
As Glo did again. But then back to the question, even when they put all the infrastructure, the cost will still not come down, because we're talking about power here.
Yeah.
It's a problem, it's a challenge. Of course, some of these ideas are talking about convergence and all that. Nobody, they don't want to come together. They don't want to do that. So it's a very big challenge. But for me, I think the way out.
And not coming together is all because of the profit.
Because of margins. Yes. Because of margins again. And for me, I think the way out is this, that government, there was a mistake by government totally backing out. Deregulating 100% was a very big mistake. And then the NCC that you have there is not sitting up. Not until Nigeria started screaming blue mother that the NCC clamped down 1.7 billion. And you would expected that Nigerians who
they won't give
nobody will get that. During the propaganda going on in the House of Representatives, a lot of things were thrown up. Somebody came there and said, there's an unholy marriage between the regulator and even these guys there.
And then we get
even the SIM card registration, what SEC spent the $6 billion
compromising
it got now, we don't know, because all the service providers have their own individual database.
That is not even the problem.
That are not even integrated.
No, the major issue right now is that they're even compromising it.
The house.
We carry out an investigation. We found out that if you go to one of their offices, you can buy this SIM card with that is not registered.
There is an investigation in the house going on with regards to that. There was a motion.
This is $0.something billion SEC cost for SIM card registration. We need to know how they spend it. Otherwise, you should have them to refund it.
There's no way. There's no. My final comment. The new normal. ICT, electronic infrastructure that the order of the day. We have to embrace it or they're going to leave us behind. The youth in Nigeria, they are performing wonders, and they're collaborating all over the world to use open infrastructure to develop creative software that can use to drive government. But on the issue of SIM card registration, part of the critical infrastructure that we should look into is that every effort must be given to support National Identity Management Commission, that we all have our national identity database in place as soon as possible. Is it non-repudiation the government? Is it a cashless society we are talking about? The same registration, every other thing, or expanding the tax payers, the base and things like that. We need that infrastructure to be in place as soon as possible.
All right, thank you so very much, gentlemen. We can't finish talking about any problem we identify with Nigeria. You can't finish talking about it in just a 1-hour program. So we just leave it there, gentlemen. I'm immensely grateful. Piece of good news, some bad news as well. What we need to do, you've heard it from all the experts. Let's hope that somebody somewhere is also taking notes. Thank you so very much. Dr. Chima Amadi is the Executive Director, Independent Service Delivery Monitoring Group. He's joined us for discussions this morning. Thank you so very much. I appreciate your time. And of course, Honorable Ibrahim Shehu Gusso is the Chairman of the House of Representatives Committee on Information and Communications Technology, ICT. Thank you so very much, Honorable. We leave you now to go and join your colleagues into this panel. And of course, Mr. Nuruddin Aderito is the Chief Executive Officer, Conceptual Networking Limited. He's an IT development strategist as well. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much.
And to you out there too, for investing your time with us, we say a very big thank you. We look forward to having you with us. Same time tomorrow, 9:30, program starts. My name is Benga Aruleba. Do stay out of trouble so that our paths can cross tomorrow.
Loss and dismay. Trust in man is deadly. Your close friend, your worst enemy. The Burning Spear. Burning Spear, a story of multi-identity, suspense-filled, educative and entertaining. The Burning Spear.
Come on, let's go.
Nowhere. It's just a bunch of prejudices about the different communities, but nothing substantial about the cause of the conflict.
It is becoming expensive to have you there.
If it was you that lost your brother, would you do it?
Family ties, a thorn in the flesh.
To be seeing my daughter every day is not small money. Your daughter, when he's concerned, my pocket is never afraid. Oh, well. I will do everything. I'm making on the name of and then I sure.
Yeah, I don't like anything that has to do with jazz. Like, come. You be like, say, hungry, never, why are you rich, Abby?
You know nothing about football, so there's no point in him. Organize your cup and not do your body. This one not the couple.
Oh, well, see, baby, it's not my money,
Between three nurses and a doctor, find out what matters in Clinic Matters.
And I wonder what someone like you is doing with such a noble profession where so much courtesy is required. Can you attend to this woman?
Because the nurse who has the pilot just gone in to prepare to test her temperature. No plan to tell his wife until the other lady delivers. It's not heartless. Is this our business if your husband impregnates another woman? The only problem I have is with people making silly and grave mistakes, especially in marriage. You are a nurse and not a marriage counselor.
A jealous man that doesn't like sharing some of my personal effects with anybody.
When I'm not retired as personal effects, plenty time is over.
Enemy of progress.
If my husband comes and say, make I no work, I go quickly fine.
Budgeting. Questions such as, do we need an NMP in the first place, must be asked. My view, we don't.
He is the field officer. He has the responsibility to ensure all operations regarding arrest and all that is conducted in the usual manner.
Engaging emerging topical issues in the polity.
The mere fact that we pay for 24 million liters of petrol on a daily basis, which is not is shocking. And I think by now people should be resigning their appointment.
It supposed to be a business, but it has become another arm of government, and it's also suffering from the malaise that have bedeviled government in Nigeria.
We want a good Nigeria first.
They are benefiting at the IOC. Why? Because they have a tax regime, a royalty regime that was framed over 42 years ago.
Good ball in. Still with Morocco. Surely.
Explore Africa.
Encounter Africa.
Engage Africa.
Enjoy Africa's compelling,
exciting,
and breathtaking
experience
with Kakaki,
the African voice.
Now listen. The law is now beyond argument that the effect of a nullification of a thing, not necessarily an election, the effect of nullification of a thing is to completely wipe out, obliterate, remove, undo, erase, or render it ineffective.
Why must Nigerians pay the crime that have been perpetrated by this cabal?
Independent Television. ART, sharing the African experience.
Hello and welcome to the program. This is The Money Show, your #1 financial newsroom in the country. This is where we give you clarity in business and finance issues. I am Nancy Lu. Thank you for joining us this Thursday, the 17th day of May 2012. I think it's about 14 days or 2 weeks to the end of the month. We're gradually coasting to the middle of this year, 2012. It was just like yesterday. I was chatting with my cameraman and saying, oh, the year is almost gone. What have I actually done this year? That's the food for thought this morning. But thank you for joining us again. We'll start by taking you through the market numbers. The Nigerian market is trading as we speak. Of course, the pre-opening session starts by 9:30 a.m. and the market closes by 2:30 p.m. But don't forget that I told you that stock exchange authorities are thinking of extending trading hours to about 4 p.m. to go into Wall Street trading. Of course, I think about 3 p.m. our time or 3:30 our local time, or it depends though, 2:30 p.m. our local time, Wall Street starts trading. Okay, our theme for today will be looking at housing for all in Nigeria. Whatever data you look at, there seems to be housing deficit, either 17 million units or 19 million units, as said by the Minister of Lands and Housing, Amal Pepple. We'll look at that issue today on the program, and I have an analyst that will be joining me shortly to look at the issue of housing for all. Can we actually have housing for all vis-a-vis the current realities or the present challenges that we're facing in Nigeria? How should we begin to draw the equation as it concerns providing housing for all Nigerians vis-a-vis expansion or the population growth? About 167 million Nigerians right now, and 112.5 million Nigerians are living on less than $1 a day. Those are some of the analysis I'll be taking you through on the program this Thursday. So let's get started. Let's start with the market numbers. The Nigerian Stock Exchange traded to the upside yesterday. We saw an uptrend of 0.46% for the broad market index, which is the barometer to gauge the market's mood. The psychologically important 22,000 point, the market is still remaining at that level. We saw the market precisely closing at 22,524.67. The market cap is still holding steady at 7 trillion naira margin, while the value of shares traded yesterday closed at 2.41 billion naira. Talking about the volume of shares traded midweek, it ended at 260.2 million ordinary shares in 4,325 transactions. Let's take a look now at the gainers for Wednesday. Livestock feeds was up. It's garnered 5 kobo within the session to finish at 1 naira 5 kobo, while Bego Paints was upside at 9.45. Presco PLC at 15. Presco PLC, okay, 15.79. Upside by 75 kobo yesterday, while Dangote Flour garnered 33 kobo to close at 6.95. Let's move over to the laggards for Wednesday. Como Oil Palm, which is paying, or which has paid, I'm not sure exactly now, 4 naira to its shareholders, was down by 1 naira 71 kobo yesterday to finish at 32 naira 49 kobo, while FCMB dropped by 25 kobo to close at 4.75. International Breweries, we saw a drop of about 28 kobo for the Breweries Company. It closed at 5.35. Union Bank of Nigeria finished at 4.30, while Vitafoam dropped by 17 kobo to close at 3.34. All right, Portland Paints was, of course, one of the companies that released their first quarter earnings yesterday to the exchange. The company posted a profit after tax of about 75 million naira. May and Baker also posted its Q1 earnings, and we saw a gross earnings of about 923 million naira from about 957.3 million naira realized in the Q1 of 2010. So that was a drop. Still talking about the market, GSK, which is GlaxoSmithKline, we saw a 28% turnover growth for the company and a negative profit after tax growth for the company of about 11.6%, while Len Africa posted a turnover growth. Oscar Onyema, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, has said that the recently appointed market makers be exempted from the rule limiting banks lending to the capital market in form of margin loans to 10%. You will recall that the Central Bank of Nigeria as well as the Securities and Exchange Commission issued new guidelines that will limit banks' margin loans to 10% of the bank's loan portfolio. All right, let's move over to other African markets that we do track for you on the program. The Accra Bourse is down 0.5% at about 1,042.5. The Nairobi Securities Exchange top 20 stocks finished upside by 0.5% at about 3,655.07. The South African market was upside on Wednesday, nearly 1%. It settled at 33,794.72, while the Gaborone index in Botswana sat at 7,145 points. Sendex in Mauritius was up marginally by 6 basis points to close at 1822.23. Let's take a look at the U.S. now. The biggest story in the U.S. as we speak is Facebook. If you're a Facebook user, of course, Facebook has about 900 million users in the world. Facebook IPO would be the biggest IPO in the U.S. in the history of the U.S. if a Facebook IPO is priced at $41 US, and that will give the company about $104 billion US market capitalization. Facebook would be listed on NASDAQ tomorrow, on Friday, and it will be listing about 421 million shares on Friday. But let's take a look at Wall Street, the numbers yesterday. But of course, like I said a moment ago, the biggest story is that of Facebook. The founder, Mark Zuckerberg, I think he's the youngest billionaire right now in the Forbes list. He's about 28 years old. And when the IPO is listed, he will get richer. Of course, Mark and his friends will get richer. But let's take a look at Dow Jones Industrial Average. Industrial Average, which is the blue chip average, it dropped yesterday by 0.25% at about 12,598.55. Nasdaq down to 0.3% at 2,874.04. S&P 500 finished also downside by 0.44% at 1,324.80. Let's move over to Europe. The distress in the Eurozone is affecting all the markets as we about Greece. The European Central Bank says that it would not lend anymore to Greek banks. So what the option that Greek banks have right now is to go to the Greek Central Bank. But these are the numbers as it concerns European markets open this Thursday. The Frankfurt DAX not up to 0.25% in the red. The Paris CAC around 0.25% also in the red. London FTSE 0.5% in the negative zone for the London market to 5,380.45. Let's take a look at other European numbers now. The Zurich SMI is marginally upside by 13 basis points. Spain's IBEX also in the green. Stocks 50 tracking lower 0.25%. Let's move over to Asia, where the story in Japan is that the economy grew in the first quarter, and that impacted the market. It is upside by nearly 1% at 8,876.59. Hang Seng of Hong Kong was down 0.31%. Shanghai Composite of China 2,610.52. Kospi of South Korea up by 0.26%. Indians Sensex, that's the Bombay Sensitive Index, was upside by 0.25%, while ASX 200, talking about the Australian bourse, was down 0.25% at 4,156.50. Moving over to commodities, we're seeing a gradual softening of commodities. Brent crude has fallen close to about $12 US. It's trading in the red this Thursday, 2 basis points at 109.73 a barrel. Light sweet also talking about crude. It's trading upside 3 basis points at 93.13. Gold is also softening, bearing in mind the amount that gold traded in the last 2 to 3 months or since the beginning of this year. We've seen gold reaching a level of about 1,700 US dollars an ounce, but today it's doing 1,552 US dollars an ounce. Sugar is trading at about 20 US dollars 75 cents. Let's take a look at Naira rates right now. The Naira we've seen in the last 3 or 4 months, in the last 3 months, I don't want to exaggerate, quite steady. We saw a depreciation last week, but it seems that the Naira's rate is quite steady between Tuesday and now. At the parallel market, you get the Naira for 159 Naira 50 kobo against the dollar. The Naira exchanging against the British pound for 259 against the single currency of 17 member nations called the euro is trading at about 210 against the real 46 Naira. And for every 1,000 sefa you want to exchange, you should be getting that for 330 Naira. Now let's move over to international currencies now. The euro against the dollar is doing 127. The Eurozone problems or challenges have been weighing in on the euro in the last 2 to 3 weeks, talking about the election in France that saw the ouster of Nicolas Sarkozy. That impacted the euro because a lot of analysts were saying, okay, what will Germany's Merkel and François Hollande, the new French president, will they come to a table, will they come to a truce to solve the Eurozone crisis? Also, that crisis in Greece is impacting the euro badly. 127 against the dollar against the pound is doing 158. The dollar against the yen is doing 80.35. This currency has been appreciating against the dollar, and analysts do say that it will get to about 79.80 band. Against the Swiss franc is doing 0.9452. All right, those are the numbers. Okay, just before we take a break to talk about our discussion for today, I also want to inform you that the National Bureau of Statistics has said that the inflation numbers in the country for the month of April rose from 12.1% in March to 12.9%. So inflation figures was up on food prices as well as cereal scarcity. I think talking about also yam prices. Our foreign exchange reserves has also been increasing as it is right now. It starts at about 37 billion US dollars. Let's quickly take a break. When I come back, my guest will be joining me. I'll be looking at housing for all. Is it actually possible? After the break.
Now listen. The law is now beyond argument that the effect of a nullification of a thing, not necessarily an election, the effect of nullification of a thing is to completely wipe out, obliterate, remove, undo, erase, or render it ineffective.
Why must Nigerians pay the crime that has been perpetrated by this cabal?
All right, welcome back. In case you're just joining us right now, this is The Money Show, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. My guest is joining me right now, architect Inya Etuk. Did I get that right? Oh, God. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. He's the chairman of Social Housing Advocacy Group.
Yes.
I hope I got that right. Welcome to the program.
My pleasure.
Housing for all, that's the theme for today. Can housing be for all in that full sense as the three basic needs of man? You know, I always say it on this show, the three basic needs of man on this show, the three basic needs of man, food, clothing, and shelter. As the three basic needs of man includes housing. But is it visible for us to have housing for all with the current challenges?
Two things. The first is that when you say something for all, it's never 100%. And fortunately or unfortunately, an 80-20% person. Okay. That means if you can score 80%, I'll say that you've done well. But in the Nigerian context, as of today, I don't think that I'm able to give 20%, which is the other side. It's really terrible. When you have a shortfall of about 16 to 17 to 19 million in a population of about 167 million people, you see that the ratio is extremely poor, extremely poor. And within that context, I think that it's a major challenge to the whichever administration that is in power. But before then, we need to understand certain imperatives, which is one of the things you have been saying. Housing is a right.
Good.
Housing is a right.
Because you said we may not get it up to 100%, but housing is a right, and housing is a basic necessity of everybody.
It is. For the first time, I say this with every sense of responsibility, we are starting to have government that is thinking, listening, and giving heed or ear to housing. Housing has never been on the agenda over the past almost 20 administrations or years.
No, would this comment be fair?
Yes.
Over the past 20, okay, let me say that. Okay, because I wanted to say other military...
Yeah, the last time you thought of any housing program, apart from what you call the Gowon estate, was like the Shagari estate. The only person that did something, and I would say this, which probably didn't get credit for, was General Abacha, who did the Gwarinpa estate. And, you know, Gwarinpa estate is rated as about the largest estate in Africa. So he did that. Granted that the present administration came and actually completed a lot of the infrastructure and all those things that were there. But in terms of the initiative, we would have to give a lot of credit to that administration. But outside of that, you'll be shocked to know that this country has operated over the past almost 20 years without a valid national housing policy. And that's where it starts from. If you know what, a lot of times we really, because of the military administrations we've had over the years, we really don't understand how government operates. You understand me? Government is not that body that executes a lot of things. Government, you know, provides that enablers, or what you may call octopus body called enabling environment. Government sets up policies. Government gives the guidelines and the operational principles that allows the state, as it were. When I say the state, the Nigerian state, you know, to move. This is it's like employment. Government does not provide employment, but government creates, you know, the opportunity by provision of basic infrastructure. The same comes to the housing. Without a housing policy, nothing works.
So as it is right now, we don't have
We don't have. It is only the present administration, Ms. Amal Pepo, when she came on board, that she asked for the policy, because having been a former head of service and a permanent secretary and understanding how government and systems work, she wanted to look, if I'm taking up this office, let me understand the guidelines, let me understand the operational principles, and ask for the housing policy. And she was shocked to see that we didn't have any valid housing policy. So immediately she set up a committee
because it's like, if I don't have a working manual, what am I going to do? And I want to say to her credit, because I need to be careful, you know, sometimes you want to say certain things and it's like you want to give credit to people. On the other hand, you want to shy away too much from that, and you stop the people from having the proper information. So that a very wide consultation was put in place, and a committee was set in place, and a draft national policy update and review was done. Then the National Housing Council was convoked, comprising all the states of the federation. They came and actually did certify and verify, and as it were, finally they kind of adopted that policy. So, and that policy has gone from that position to the National Economic Council that has also gone through it, and I think a week ago it also went to NEC, National Economic Council, with all the state government, because without bringing the state government into housing delivery, it can't work. And all this have been done. I think the very last step is for it to go before the Federal Executive Council, at which point it will now be adopted and then promulgated into a working document.
Why is it that? Because I have to give you time to say all this things in terms of we don't have an existing housing policy, which is very, very key
to everything,
and bad for a country like this that we don't have a housing policy, because is it in Brazil? They launched. Of course, Brazil has been going through phases and phases. Right. In 2009, Brazil launched a program called My Life, My Property or something, if I can remember. And the president then launched $18 billion to build 1 million units of houses for those that have income of very low income earners. In 2010 also it was reviewed 2 million units of houses.
That's right.
I think in China there's also a program they called Qianyunfa. I hope I got that
You've done quite some research.
No, you know what I'm saying? Because
I'm quite happy with this.
Oh,
coming from you, because a lot of these things come from us, and I think it's when it comes from somebody like you, the public knows that somebody has done research and brought up these things, and I really like that.
Thank you very much.
And you're very correct. Let me to start with.
Okay, thank you. You know why I'm bringing that? Because we should just be holding our hands, putting our heads in shame.
Yeah, that's right.
Because as a country with such people, we need to have a policy direction. Then what have other administrations done?
This is exactly where I'm coming to. We've shouted ourselves hoarse on this matter. Past administrations just did not see housing as being important. In fact, it was on the basis of that we started the Social Housing Advocacy Group and annual seminars and everything. And I'm so happy, and I just really want to thank all the people out there who have been a part of the movement, that we have been able, by the grace of God, to bring housing back. It's been a laborious and tasking job. Let me even tell you this.
You think it's really at the front border now? Because
I'll tell you
I'm
why.
not getting the kind of vibe I want to get.
Two things.
From President Jonathan's administration. I'm sorry, but I have to say that.
I'll tell you. The coordinating minister of the economy, who is the Minister of Finance, will not make any statement without clearing it from the CNC. She will not. And I was particularly elated 2 weeks back when she, the Minister of Finance, got the Minister of Housing together and said housing is the next matter on the table as far as this administration is concerned. She didn't just talk the talk. She convoked a very, very high-level, round table that included the DG SEC was there in person, DG Budget was there in person, the DG PENCOM was there in person, the Minister of FCT was there in person, the Minister of Housing obviously was there in person, the MD, Federal Housing Authority, it was a little room. When you have this number of people, and the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Housing sitting down on one spot from morning till evening, 6 p.m.
They need to sit down there. Of course, it's not going to be me. It's their job.
They sat down there in person. I was
privileged to be one of the very few people, invited into that room. And the World Bank was brought in. Look, it was hot. And she said, listen, I'm giving us 6 months to bring out a program that I'm going to put on a presidential summit because housing is the next big thing. Now, what tripped me a little bit was that they could have made this a media event, but they said, look, Nigerians are sick and tired of the talk. Talk is becoming cheap. They want to